potato chips that you opened the night before, and it would be completely empty. There would be absolutely nothing left. Not a grain of salt, nothing.
Oh
The ants carried it all away.
Wow. Now, what supplies did you have, and what supplies were you lacking? Like, can you?
Well, when I first got there, you went to the PX and they basically had nothing. You couldn't get toothpaste or soap, underwear. Really, all of the essentials were not there. But that changed pretty, a month later perhaps. I don't remember everything in detail because it's 42 years ago, give or take a year. I got to admit, it was nice that most of the time, maybe 90% of the time, you could go into the EM club at night and get cold beer or soda. There were times when we ran out of beer and soda and you missed it a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe 2 or 3 weeks without any, and then the ship would come in and we'd have it. What I missed more than anything else being in Vietnam was ice. Ice?
They don't have ice?
Well, a lot of the guys clubbed together or whatever and bought little mini refrigerators, but they had those tiny ice trays with a piece of ice as big as a lump of sugar, which is useless, totally useless. And I think my funniest encounter with Vietnamese people, because I would get a chance to talk to the workers that cleaned our little rooms, our hooches, or worked in the area. I had a National Geographic magazine, and it was showing pictures of New England in the winter. And some of the houses had no windows until the second floor, and that was because of the amount of snow that they would get.
Wow.
Then they showed a picture of one of these houses in the winter with the snow just below the windows. And you can't explain snow to Vietnamese people. They have, and they thought I was out of my mind. The best I could come up with, you know what ice is? Well, it's falling from the sky. And then they thought I was totally out of my mind,
And how long did you serve?
A year and a half over there, because I found my way by good graces into a clerical job. And they actually made a deal with me. They said, well, if you want to extend for 6 more months over here, we'll let you go home for a month. And that was fine with me.
Yeah.
So about a year and a half over there, but I was kind of behind the lines. I didn't have to see all of what was going on over there. I saw some of it. And I would tell you the most difficult part about it was running into people that you knew from basic training or from infantry school. And they would tell you about buddies that got killed, got wounded. And I met 2 people from my infantry school. I can't remember if it was basic training or infantry school that I knew them from, but they had spent the whole year out in the field. They had about 2 weeks to go, and I heard through the grapevine that neither one of them made it, with only 2 weeks to go. And you carry, I'm going to say guilt, that you come home and you're fine, and you had so many friends whose lives were changed forever, or they no longer are living. And I don't know why the Army does things the way they do, but when I got back to the States, I was assigned to a clinic attached to the Walter Reed Hospital. And from time to time I'd have to go over to Walter Reed Hospital and I'd see all of these vets with their injuries. And that was the hardest thing, because their injuries were terrible, and these are young men with their whole lives ahead of them. And again, I say the Lord has watched over me all my life. All my life.
So when you returned, you worked at the clinic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after that, what did you do?
When I left the Army? I went back to my bank that I was working in, and I went on to stay with that bank for 20 years.
Okay. Cool. What's one of your most memorable parts of being in Vietnam and the war? Something that you remember the most?
Well, I had a chance to be in a helicopter flying over the Mekong River Delta, and to see all those rivers spreading out in a sunset is something I will never forget. And I was in a small chopper, and the pilot was just a two-seater and unarmed. It was an observation chopper. And the pilot decided, well, let's play go between the trees. So at about 150 miles an hour, we're going through the trees, you know, which was really exciting because I like roller coasters today. But after we landed and I got out of that thing, my stomach caught up to me about 40 minutes later. You know, that was really exciting. One of the sad things that I saw, which I will never ever forget, one day I had to take charge of the garbage truck, and I had Vietnamese guys to load the garbage cans, etc. And we would drive to the huge garbage dump. And when we got to the garbage dump, I saw all of these Vietnamese people picking through the garbage. And this one woman, just her face glowed. She smiled from ear to ear. She had found a big old ham bone. And how old was this thing? Well, it was green. And, you know, thousands of flies around the garbage dump and all. And yet, they were going to eat that day. And I never forgot that.
Yeah. Makes you very grateful.
To see how desperate people can be, and how we throw food away here, and that we're just not thankful for what we have. We don't realize at all what we have. So those are really strong memories that I will never forget. Now, am I really going to, are you really going to think I'm out in left field if I tell you that one night I had been over there, I'm going to say about 2 months, and I was on guard duty another night. And here we were at midnight, lying around on our backs, I guess 10 guys maybe, looking up at the sky. And when you look at the sky in the southern hemisphere, it blows your mind, because you don't recognize anything. You know, you're going to find the Southern Cross, and that's the only thing you know. And everything, the stars are just all wrong, and that bothered me so much. Well, as we're looking up there at night, two strange things happen.